or Subra, is popular known, is a global head of delivery excellence at Tata Consultancy Services. In his role, he owns delivery, governance, customer advocacy, delivery excellence, privacy, and business excellence. Subra joined TCS in 1987. It was the same year when NIQR was established. Over the past 35 years, he has played diverse roles in software delivery, sales and marketing, quality, program management, consulting, and process excellence. Subra has a bachelor's degree in mathematics from St. Joseph's College, Trichy. He is qualified as chartered accountant. His primary interest is in large system, complex programs, systems engineering, and software quality. Subra will talk about quality in the IT sector.
My sincere thanks to NIQR for inviting me here, Mr. Raj, Mr. Gauri Shankar. About 3 years back, I think before the pandemic, the year before the pandemic, we were given an award by NIQR for quality. And good to be back here and to address. I'd like it to be as a little bit interactive, just to keep the interest on. How many of you are related to the IT industry or familiar with the IT industry? Okay, not many hands. So I'll make it sort of I'll probably, as Mr. Samir said, little bit better, you may be knowing a little better after the presentation than where you are right now. See, I head TCS is the top, the number 2 largest IT services provider in the globe, and we have around 500,000 people, about 6 lakhs right now, spread across the globe, and we have we have grown, right? And we are part of the Tata Group. And good thing about being part of the Tata Group is that we instill a lot of the values, the Tata values, when it comes down to it, and the customer sees that, right? And the business has been consistently growing. If you take repeat business is a significant part of our revenues. Customers, many of our customers have stayed with us for about 20 years, 30 years. And the only reason they stay is that they are able to trust TCS, right? They're typically in a 20-year relationship, you will find ups and downs, and you tend to stay with somebody during your downtime when you know that, okay, it's going to get better. People make mistakes and we have to get better. So that is the, from a TCS perspective, I head the quality, what we call delivery excellence across the globe. We oversee around 10,000 engagements for clients across geographies. I just wanted to put this up. Community is a core part of our business, right? And this is one of the reasons why we have grown globally. In every geography we have been doing business, we invest in the community, we recruit from the local geography. For example, our Latin American market, we have around 15,000 people, all of them people who are a part of the Latin American community. And similarly in every other geography, Japan, China, and Asia Pacific, Europe, and significant investment in the local communities, whether it in terms of enabling the schools, helping job opportunities, setting up industries and so forth. See, I'll stand here. You see 2 circles here, right? For the last 15 years or more, we promised our customers what is called experience certainty. Experience certainty is that when, I'll tell you a little bit of our business. TCS handles, either develops large systems at national and international scale, right? The second is we operate large systems and across geographies. So when I say large systems, you are talking about large financial systems, large clinical trial systems, large utilities systems, right? Typically it is software, it is technology oriented, there is engineering aspect to it and so forth. These are, and we have also worked with automotive companies in terms of launching cars in certain markets, right? So typically deal with large systems, build systems, transform systems. Some of them have 30-year-old systems. How do we transform them to a digital age, right? That is part of the job. And the other thing is operate. Operate is run those systems. Many of the national infrastructure here, financial infrastructure, as well as many of the government infrastructure is being run by TCS, right? That the kind of and software is typically invisible, right? Software is not very visible unless it fails. If I'm not able to log, if I'm not able to get into file my tax on a deadline, then I know that, okay, this software has failed, right? Or my passport, I'm not able to get my passport on time, then you realize this thing. So, but otherwise software is very invisible. And so we want to be invisible, right? Invisible, silent, behind the scenes, software works. That is the kind of a job we have. So we've been promising the experience certainty. And last year, early this year, we've sort of broadened the circle to what we call building on belief. And if you take any of our customers, they have aspirations. They have certain beliefs. They want to make an impact in the larger community, larger globe, right? And we partner with them. We partner with them in terms of realizing those aspirations. It could be a healthcare company wanting to improve the health of their customers. It could be a car company wanting to improve the reliability of the cars. So we work with them in terms of helping them achieve that. So that is this thing. So commitment is, this is a very firm commitment which we give. We are in it for good. It is not that we are doing a job and then getting out. We are bring everything we have. Strength of TCS is that we've built so much of skills, the variety of skills, we bring everything to the table. Know-how, we bring the technical know-how and master journey. As we move around, as we work with the customers, our aspiration is to master the journey so that it is a pleasure for our customers to be with us. And this is some statistics in terms of kind of nationalities and women in workforce and attrition we are seeing this year has been a little hit. The reason that number is put is our customers don't care, right? National infrastructure doesn't care whether we are having attrition or not. We are expected to provide reliability in spite of all the things which happens. So that is again pointing back to some of the quality things which I'll talk about. And yeah. So what did we learn from manufacturing? I think there is something in the title is getting missed out. Yeah. What we learned from manufacturing, right? So manufacturing provided the sort of a shoulder on which we can start. The Six Sigma, the QMS, the Toyota production management, PDCA, all of these, lean, all of these are part of sets the foundation for quality in software, right? But what did we do? I don't know. I hope the message is not getting lost, but otherwise there is a sort of a cut in the top and the bottom. So what did we do with those, right? Software is different from automotive, just like a chemical engineering is different from this thing, right? It's different type of work, different type of reactions, different type of this thing. So how did we adapt it? So first is integrated quality management system. So today, if you look at software, some of the problems are little bit different, right, from other industries. There is what is called privacy. When we are handling customer data, whether that data is secure, right? The second is sustainability. Reliability. Reliability means the software has to run 24/7. Whenever a customer wants to log into the application, he should be able to log in, right? And all of these qualities, all of these, there are regulations, a number of regulations. If you are delivering software to manufacturing industry, there are AS 9100, medical devices regulations and other things are there. If you go into a different industry, pharma, we have the good manufacturing practices and all of that. All of these have to be incorporated into the software we build. So what the IQMS does is that we continuously evolve it so that it complies with the regulations across the globe, right? Sorry. Design thinking. See, software is inherently a problem solving. Software is not something where I want to build a bridge and across this river and I build a bridge, right? It involves problem solving. It involves identifying the right problem and go through a process of finding the right solutions for that problem. And sometimes the solution is not very evident, right? Solution is not, for example, one of the large ventilator manufacturing company, I just thought of mentioning, in the US, the GE Healthcare, where they had a certain velocity of producing ventilators, right? And that was not sufficient. So we worked on the algorithm behind the manufacturing system in terms of how do we improve the velocity, right? That is pure problem solving in terms of, okay, how do I do that, right? And design thinking, then agile. Agile is about software. When you start off wanting to develop software, you just have a rough idea. Okay, the details are yet to be worked out. And many times the details, what you think will change as you build the software. What happens is you have to learn. You have to allow the software to learn. And that is where agile comes in. How do you build software in increments? How do you get feedback, faster feedback? How do you do iteratively, right? That is agile. Then DevSecOps. DevSecOps is about automating that entire pipeline. There are human things which has to happen in different stages, but how do I automate the pipeline, what we call the software pipeline, right? Or the software assembly line. How do we automate it such that lot of the manual errors could get this thing. There is an aspect which cannot be made manual, cannot be automated, and there are cases where you have to make it manual. Then you have TBEM, which is the excellence, Tata Business Excellence model, which sort of brings, it's modeled on the Malcolm Baldrige excellence model. And RIO is what is called rigor in operations. So when we support very large operations, I talked about some of the large banks, some of the large insurance companies, large stock, trading, systems. A human error could cause major outages. Human errors, somebody going and doing something in a very foolish way could, in a healthcare, what happens is if a surgeon does a mistake, it's that patient who dies, right? And it's very localized. Here, a person doing a mistake, it brings down the entire national infrastructure, right? And how do you prevent it? How do you ensure that there is rigor and so that those kind of situations doesn't happen? And CMMI is what is called a capability maturity model. It is again a standard which has been there for the last 20-30 years, which defines what are the best practices as far as software development is concerned, and that has been evolving. So adopting that. So fundamentally, what are we doing differently? Okay, one is customer centricity. I'll talk about it a little bit more. This has been the core of the company since the beginning. Customer centricity, everything is revolved around a customer. For every customer, there is a sort of the distance between a customer and the CEO is just about 2 or 3. That is the kind of a distance we have. Distance means the customer, CEO having a problem can directly reach to the highest levels in the organization very quickly. Second is one global standard. There is a quality standard which is applied across the globe, whichever geography it is. Because we are talking about information systems, people supporting in India for a system which is in Europe, and people are it is divided between Europe and this thing. So that is the one global standard. Quality and excellence at scale. I gave you a glimpse of the scale in terms of the largeness of the work. And for example, one of the things which we do is the some of the exams in India, right? Some of the large-scale exams, whether it is GATE or whether it is any of the exams. Each exam, there are about 10 lakhs. And this is all distributed across India. And any disruption in any center pretty much invalidates the whole exam, right? That requires a kind of coordination and the sort of networking which is very large scale. So quality and excellence at scale. Reliance under turbulence is the last 2 years, 3 years, we have gone through what the world has never seen before. And now we are going through people coming back, not coming, wanting to come back to work and all that. So Reliance under turbulence is basically whatever happens in the world, how do we ensure that the infrastructure, the systems infrastructure are stable? And the last is benchmarking with the best, ensuring that we are top-notch in whatever we are doing. So the one on the right-hand side, for the last 9 years, we have been number 1 in customer satisfaction in an independent survey in Europe, right? And this has been consistent in many other geographies. And the reason is there is a customer at the center of the investments. For every customer, there is a sort of a structure which comes around the customer. There is a client partner, there is a delivery partner, there are this thing which happens, there is a set of investments which happen so that the customer feels that they are taken care. They are the center of the world as far as TCS is concerned. Then, sorry. I want to go back. Yeah. So, there is a whole thing around talent development and all that. So, this quality journey we started in the 80s. Many people who sort of visited us, or when we started, I started off in 87 with a fairly well-established quality system, right? So the founders of the company was already 20 years old by the time I joined. And since then, there has been consistent focus and ensuring that we are evolving with the world. What you see on the right-hand side is that every decade, the focus has shifted slightly. For example, if you take the 2000s, information security became, because as systems became more connected, information security became a prime focus. Then you have the full services, where customers did not want just software development or this thing. They wanted the whole works in terms of software development, operations, and so forth. And 2010s, it became more health and safety, environment, and so forth. Now it is more automation and so forth. And what you see on the left-hand side is all the standards which we comply with. See, this slide is about Agile. I'm going to cover three topics. One is on Agile. Agile is a fundamental rewiring of how we do work, both individually as well as a team, right? Traditionally, we were following only 5 more minutes. Okay. So 3 things. One is Agile. It is everyone, because we were working on what is called a PDCA. PDCA, typically what you do, 1 month you do a planning and then you do a doing, and then you check whether you've done this thing. So that is called what is called the waterfall model. And that doesn't work well for software. The PDCAs are still there, but the PDCA is much, much shorter. For example, there are weekly sprints, which is within a week you have to get a feedback. There are feedback which you get on a daily basis. You have the daily stand up and say, and look at, okay, how do I? So there are feedback which you get in a minutes, in a day, in a week, in a month, and so forth. So PDCA doesn't work exactly, but in a modified form. That is what is Agile is about, building all of the feedback loops so that the software which we develop meets the needs or solves the problem rather than the idea which the initial guy had in mind. So we went through what is called an enterprise Agile. It is a complete transformation of the entire enterprise. First is we had to redefine the methods, completely change what is IQMS for us. So we created this enterprise Agile framework. Enterprise Agile also, we had to break down all the barriers because people have to be able to communicate very easily. So we had to The earlier, if you look at any IT industry, it is all cubicle based. With tall cubicles, you work in a sort of in a separated space, in a very quiet manner. For Agile, you have to break down all those cubicles, right? So that people can talk to each other, they can still work independently, but again, will be able to reach this thing. So that is a significant change to the work space. Third is the workforce in terms of training all our people, the 6 to 5 lakh people trained on working in Agile, right? This is a major transformation we went through the last 2-3 years. That was a vision set as Enterprise Agile by 2020, right? I'll not go this thing, but there is a significant quality and speed to market, 30 to 50% increase in the speed to market, and 50%, 70% improvement in quality. Improvement in quality comes from shorter feedback cycles, right? You get to try out things and then correct mistakes before it actually before you discover it very late. So you have a number of assets around that. And he is one of the founding authors of the Agile Manifesto, which is sort of in 2001, a bunch of people wrote what is called an Agile Manifesto, and that is pretty much the blueprint of Agile. And one of the authors have praised us in terms of the disciplined way in which we have moved about in transforming Agile. I'll move to the next one. Talked about DevSecOps. DevSecOps is automation of the software pipeline and ensuring that things move through this thing in a very controlled way, and security gets taken care, and operations gets taken care, and so forth. So this is the whole automation aspect, and this is again a big change for us, sort of across the industry. So a lot of frameworks, a lot of assets, and this is again another transformation story. There is a DevSecOps framework, there is a DevSecOps assessment. Again, when I talked about 10,000 projects, the scale of our transformation is that we have to transform every one of the 10,000 projects, right? So that is the kind of a scale we have to transform. The third is the rigor in operations. I talked about human errors, talked about following the SOPs, and so those are the focus of what is called rigor in operations, where large scale infrastructure, when I say infrastructure, I'm talking about systems infrastructure. It is about computing infrastructure. It is about software, which is running national banks, which is running national stock exchanges, which is running government this thing, ensuring that they are reliable, they run day to day. The people, even though the people may get sick, people may be absent, all of that happens, but the operations have to run reliably. So the focus of RIO, which is rigor in operations, is primarily to do that. And we pretty much benchmark ourselves with each of the projects against sort of a particular framework and assess them whether they are in best in class or advanced and so forth. And pretty much what I wanted to give was a flavor of what we've been going through over the last 2 years and the kind of what we mean by quality in a software industry. And many of this will be applicable because there is a lot of learning from software into the manufacturing, just like we learned a lot from the manufacturing for starting off with that quality journey. Thank you.
Question to Mr. Subramanian. See, in my experience I worked in manufacturing for 37 years. Whenever some development happens, we face the issue of sub-optimization. It benefits one process, but as a whole, the system slows down. So I had experience of this type of issue. So what is your check system to avoid sub-optimization? You do, for example, you develop a good package to the marketing, but the manufacturing gets impacted by that. And overall, marketing is happy, manufacturing gets overloaded, and overall the system slows down. So this type of issues, but I don't know what is the status now, but what is your check system to avoid this type of sub-optimization while signing off?
Okay. You are primarily referring to ERP systems?
Yes.
Yeah. So software, there are two parts to software. One is what is called the functional requirements, like the features, the functionality, the job you want to do. The second is what is called the non-functional requirements, which is the performance of each of the parts, performance, security, reliability and all that, right? What ensures that all the non-functional requirements are taken care is what we call design or architecture, right? If the design or architecture is not done well, you have these kind of issues. So that is depends upon the software which you are using, okay? But attention should be paid for the design phase. For example, I talked about security, I talked about privacy. You cannot fix security as an afterthought, right? You have to design security into the system. You have to design privacy into the system. Similarly, you have to design performance into the system, right? So that one part doesn't, this thing. Typically what happens in a rush, people develop just looking at the functionality and this thing. So we try, any well-developed software, there is a sort of equal attention to both the functionality as well as the non-functional requirements.
I just want to know, not from your presentation, TCS is not number 2, number 1 in software, no doubt about it. But what I want to know is, for any software I need hardware also. TCS is such a wonderful organization. Why can't you go for hardware also? Because we depend on HP, Dell, blah, 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 blah. And I want to depend only on TCS because the T is very excellent word. You know about it. So why can't you also go into hardware business?
So, very interesting question. And we are at an interesting time right now because traditionally people were having, we have to buy hardware, right? We have to buy servers and other things. Today, the whole world is moving towards cloud. So,
still many of our software are not working even in i7. I'm sorry to say that. So we are going further to more than i7. Therefore, theoretically we are not depending upon hardware, but practically we have to depend on hardware.
So hardware is a very different, just to answer that, hardware is a very different business, very different game.